Il est 7h35, on peut commencer, at 7:30 p.m. Let us begin the meeting. Bonsoir à toutes et à tous. Good evening to everyone. Je vais commencer par prendre la présence des individus qui sont présents ce soir. I will begin by taking the attendance of those that are here this evening. Please confirm if you are here by simply replying when I call your name. Monsieur Parent.
I'm here.
Mr. Johnson.
Present.
Mr. Gottman.
Present.
Madame Toledano.
Présente.
Mr. Vesley. Mr. Vesley.
He's there, but...
You told me to turn it off. Présent.
Madame Assouline.
Présente.
Mr. Brownstein.
Présent.
Madame Asimokopoulos.
Présente.
Mr. Bensikin.
Présent.
Madame Valois.
Présente.
Perfect. And with this, we form quorum, which we can proceed. Madame Valois, please record everyone that is present here this evening. Let us begin by opening the session. Je déclare que la séance du 11 janvier 2022 est ouverte. I declare that the council meeting of January 11th, 2022 is now in session. Please note about this evening's meeting and the way we will conduct things. Due to COVID restrictions, we cannot meet in person, and we will proceed to do this via electronic means, via Zoom recording. This evening's meeting, held January 11th, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. will be audio recorded, hence we will proceed in a way that will be less confusing to the listener at a later date. Since this is being recorded, I suggest that we proceed the following way. Please be silent during the meeting so that the recording is as clear as possibly can be, and only speak when you must or are called on. In addition, I propose that Madame Valois read the title of the resolution along with the conclusion and includes the councillors' names that are assigned to the respective sections or resolutions. At the end of every resolution, I will ask council if you are against the resolution. If I do not hear anyone state clearly against, I will automatically conclude that you are in favor of the said resolution. Maintenant, je demande aux conseillers, êtes-vous d'accord si on procède de cette façon? Are you in accordance if we proceed this way? Please respond when I call your name. Monsieur Parent.
Je suis d'accord.
Johnson.
President. I agree. Sorry.
Gottman.
Agree.
Madame Toledano.
I agree.
Mr. Vesley.
I agree.
Madame Assouline.
En accord.
Mr. Brownstein.
I am in agreement.
And Madame Asimokopoulos.
I agree.
Madame Valois, s'il vous plaît, notez qu'on est tous d'accord avec cette procédure. And with this, maintenant, je cède la parole à Madame Valois. You can take the floor and move along with the agenda for this evening. Merci.
6.2, adoption de l'ordre du jour. Il est proposé par le conseiller Parent, appuyé par le conseiller Johnson, que l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire du Conseil municipal de Dollard-des-Ormeaux du 11 janvier 2022 soit adopté tel que soumis.
Anyone against? Then it is approved.
Period set aside for the police department. Aucun rapport n'a été déposé pour le mois de décembre 2021. 10.4, période de questions, question period. We have received a handful of emails with essentially the same concern and asking the city to recognize Black History Month and what is the city doing for this recognition. We also have received another email from Mr. Shahid where he asks what is the city doing for Black History Month recognition, similar to the other emails, as well as asking for a meeting with the mayor.
So let me begin by thanking everyone that has written in with this concern. This is something that is obviously dear and is also a concern to all of us here at the city and on council. In terms of the first question, to recognize Black History Month, the city of Dollard-des-Ormeaux has and will continue to recognize Black History Month. In fact, we did the same thing last year. In addition, and for the record, so that it is clear, we do this for all history and heritage months that are recognized by our Canadian government. This is what we do at the city of Dollard-des-Ormeaux, and I believe that the first part has been answered. The next question is, what are we doing? We have planned it like we did last year. We use our educational arm to our city, which is our library, and they set up informational sessions on topics such as Black History Month. We get special guest speakers to come in and expose the topic, in this case, Black people in Quebec and in Canada, and explain the history behind it. We are planning to do essentially the same thing, but with COVID this year, things have to be changed around a little bit, and we're trying to spice it up a little bit this year. We have Djembe Workshop, which is a musical theme tied to it that will be done through the library. We have a partnership with the National Film Board, which is a series of meetings, both in a series of movies, I should say, both in English and French, on Black history and mini documentaries. What it means to grow up being a person of color and the challenges that one faces. These are the types of things that will be displayed by the National Film Board and this partnership that we have with them. We will also have books available and on display at the library, and we are working in partnership with WIBCA, the West Island Black Association. They're actually putting together some events, and we will be working on a partnership with them. Details to follow on this one in the coming weeks. Lastly, just for the record, last year we had Mrs. Akila Newton, which is a recognized Montreal and author in this field. Also, we also introduced books at the library last year, and it was well received by the community. There was one last question that was by Mr. Malik Shahid. In terms of setting up a meeting, you can certainly set up a meeting with me. You can call my office. I'm always available to meet with you. And I'm actually surprised that you would ask that question via email, because you have my telephone number and my text number. And I've told you many times that you can simply make use of it and call me directly. In fact, in past, you have called me directly and I've answered you. And you can certainly do so moving forward. Now, I want to also give a little bit of history to this topic of Black History Month, because this was actually developed on the heels of something that happened in 2020 by a gentleman that everybody recalls, George Floyd. Following the death of George Floyd at the hands of a police officer in the United States, the city created and passed a resolution regarding racism, specifically that any form of racism is unacceptable anywhere at any time, any place in the world, and specifically for us in Dollard-des-Ormeaux. Dollard-des-Ormeaux, we feel, is a vibrant, multicultural, multi-religious, multi-ethnic community that lives and thrives side by side and in harmony, and this is what we treasure mostly. So the reason why I'm raising this is because this is what raised the city's awareness to these issues, and that's why today we adopt the resolution of Black History Month or any other unique months, is to raise this awareness, this important issue within our community. In terms of actions, since the unfortunate happening a few years ago, on the heels of this, an internal committee was created to review best practices for hiring and training to raise awareness and sensitize people to these sensitive issues. At a point, or a point of entry to any organization is the HR department, which is through jobs, and HR now sends all job postings so that everyone is aware to different cultural organizations. They are doing more outreach from the HR department beyond, I'm going to say above and beyond their role, or the typical role that an HR department would do. Next is to give training on bias at the workplace, and by the way, the directors of the city have already gotten this training. It's on how to recognize our bias or natural bias and avoid them. Next level is that all city employees will get this training as well. I confirm that we have always hired people from minority communities, racial, color, cultural, religious, differences, and we will continue to do so. Most recent years, I will also confirm to everyone, more individuals from minority communities have been hired, and this is obviously a good thing, a wonderful thing. I can conclude by saying it is a trend in the right direction. If you do have ideas that you'd like to bring forward, no problem. Call me anytime, get in touch with me or with us, and we will be sure that we can have a fruitful conversation about this. Merci beaucoup. Thank you. I trust this answers the questions.
10.5, adoption de procès-verbaux de séance du Conseil municipal. Il est proposé par le conseiller Johnson, appuyé par le conseiller Gottman, que les procès-verbaux des séances extraordinaires et ordinaires du Conseil municipal de Dollard-des-Ormeaux tenues le 14 décembre 2021 à 19h25 et 19h30 soient adoptés tels que soumis.
Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui est contre? Alors, c'est adopté.
25.1, rejection of the tenders for the contract 2021-044. It is moved by Councillor Gottman, seconded by Councillor Toledano, that Council reject the tenders received for the contract to renovate the art gallery.
Anyone against? Then it is approved.
30.1, approbation de la liste des comptes à payer. Il est proposé par la conseillère Toledano, appuyée par le conseiller Wesley, que la liste des comptes à payer de la Ville, qui s'élève à 1 373 875,52 pour la période du 1er au 31 décembre 2021, soit approuvée telle que soumise.
Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui est contre? Alors, c'est adopté.
30.2, movement of staff. It is moved by Councillor Wesley, seconded by Councillor Assouline, that Council ratify the decisions mentioned in the general report covering the period from December 15, 2021 to January 11, 2022 on the exercise of powers delegated to officers and employees under bylaw R 2005-004, submitted to Council by the City Manager, and that Council approve the City Manager's recommendation pertaining to movement of staff dated December 17, 2021.
Is anyone against? Then it is approved.
30.3, aide financière à l'intention des aînés. Il est proposé par la conseillère Assouline, appuyé par le conseiller Brownstein, que le trésorier soit autorisé à donner une subvention à chacun des citoyens aînés de Dollard-des-Ormeaux inscrits sur la liste couvrant la période du 14 décembre 2021 au 10 janvier 2022, sous réserve que chacun d'eux remplisse les conditions établies par la Ville et que la dite subvention soit imputée au poste budgétaire 219 000 943.
Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui est contre? Alors, c'est adopté.
30.4, grant awarded to citizens within the program A Tree for My Neighborhood 2019 edition. It is moved by Councillor Brownstein, seconded by Councillor Asimakopoulos, that the city reimburse citizens for a total of $740 to cover the acquisition cost of one or more trees purchased at $25 each in 2019 within the A Tree for My Neighborhood greening campaign, provided that the health of the trees meet in 2021 the pre-established conditions, and that this expense of $740 be charged budget item 281-710-628.
Is anyone against? Then it is approved.
40.1, approbation d'une opération cadastrale pour l'émission d'un permis de lotissement. Il est proposé par la conseillère Asimakopoulos, appuyé par le conseiller Parent, que le plan portant le numéro de dossier 40 13 37 0010 0010 et le numéro de minute 11 064, préparé par Gustave Gilbert, apportant géomètre le 16 juin 2021, relativement au projet de remplacement des lots 3 256 042, 3 256 043 et 6 041 465 du cadastre du Québec, circonscription foncière de Montréal, située sur la rue des Comissés, par le futur lot 6 448 812, soit approuvé.
Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui est contre? Alors, c'est adopté.
50.1, adoption of loan bylaw R 2022-162. The purpose of the present bylaw is to authorize capital expenditures and loan of $4 million for the rehabilitation and the replacement of sewer and water mains on several streets with a 20 20-year term. Notice of motion was given and a draft bylaw was tabled at the December 14, 2021 council meeting in accordance with section 356 of the City and Towns Act. No changes were made to the bylaw from the tabling of its draft at the said meeting, and copies of the draft bylaw tabled at the said meeting were made available to the public. It is moved by Councillor Parra, seconded by Councillor Johnson, that bylaw R 2022-162 entitled Bylaw Authorizing Capital Expenditures and amount of $4 million for the rehabilitation or the replacement of sewer and water mains on 7 streets be adopted as submitted.
Anyone against? Then it is approved.
50.2 Adoption du règlement d'emprunt R 2022-163. Le présent règlement a pour objet de décréter des dépenses en immobilisation, d'autoriser un emprunt de 6 millions pour la reconstruction de bordures et de trottoirs et le resurfaçage de rues collectrices existantes pour un terme de 20 ans. Un avis de motion a été donné et un projet de règlement a été déposé à la séance du Conseil tenue le 14 décembre 2021. À l'article 356 de la loi sur les cités et villes, aucun changement n'a été apporté au règlement depuis le dépôt de son projet à cette même séance et des copies de ce projet de règlement déposées à cette même séance ont été mises à la disposition du public. Il est proposé par le conseiller Johnson, appuyé par le conseiller Gottman, que le règlement R 2022-163 intitulé Règlement décrétant des dépenses en immobilisation et autorisant un emprunt de 6 millions de dollars pour la reconstruction de bordures et de trottoirs et le resurfaçage de rues collectrices existantes soit adopté tel que soumis.
Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui est contre? Très bien. Adopté.
50.3 Adoption of Loan Bylaw R 2022-165. The purpose of the present bylaw is to authorize capital expenditures and an additional loan of $600,000 for the reconstruction of the tennis and basketball courts at Terrace Fox Park with a 20-year term. Notice of motion was given and the draft bylaw was tabled at the December 14 council meeting. No changes were made to the bylaw from the tabling of this draft at the said meeting, and copies of the draft bylaw tabled at the said meeting were made available to the public. It is moved by Councillor Kaufman, seconded by Councillor Toledano, that bylaw R 2022-165 entitled Bylaw Authorizing Capital Expenditures and an additional loan of $600,000 for the reconstruction of the tennis and basketball courts at Terrace Fox Park be adopted as submitted.
Anyone against? And it is approved.
50.4 Adoption du règlement R 2022-704-333. Il est proposé par la conseillère Toledano, appuyé par le conseiller Bessé, que le règlement R 2022-704-333, intitulé Règlement modifiant de nouveau le règlement de zonage 82-704 afin de modifier la définition immeuble à appartement mixte, soit adopté tel que soumis.
Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui est contre? Alors c'est adopté.
50.5 Adoption of Bylaw R 2022-7057. The purpose of the present bylaw is to replace the term church with house of worship in the house of worship definition, to add a paragraph to section 2 to prohibit the possession of any drug paraphernalia without a lawful purpose within city limits, to specify what it means to relieve oneself, and to add that the prohibition applies on the public or private place, to increase the penalty for the sections which relate in general to disturbing the peace to a fixed amount of $1,000 for a first offense, to increase the penalties for the other sections of the bylaw from a minimum amount of $100 to $150. Notice of motion was given and a draft bylaw was tabled at the December 14, 2021 council meeting. No changes were made to the bylaw from the tabling of its draft at the said meeting. Copies of the draft bylaw tabled at the said meeting were made available to the public. It is moved by Councillor Veste, seconded by Councillor Asselin, that bylaw R 2022-7057 entitled Bylaw to further amend bylaw 82-705 concerning peace and order be adopted as submitted.
Anyone against? Then it is approved.
60.1 Proclamation de journée spéciale. Il est proposé par la conseillère Asselin, appuyé par le conseiller Bromsey, que le Conseil proclame sur le territoire de la ville le 27 janvier la journée internationale de commémoration de l'Holocauste, le mois de février le mois de l'histoire des Noirs et le 4 février la journée mondiale contre le cancer.
Ah, Madame Valois, on avait discuté malheureusement hier soir, peut-être vous n'avez pas reçu le mémo Tamil Heritage Month. Qu'est-ce que celui-là dans cette résolution?
Pouvez-vous répéter?
Tamil Heritage Month. It's the month of January. For some reason, it didn't make it into this document. But that's okay. We can add it in.
Parfait. C'est
And with this, I see is everyone in favor? I just want to see a show of hands around the table. I see everybody giving me the thumbs up. Great. Perfect. So if it can be added in.
parfait. C'est
Merci
fait.
beaucoup.
Et ça complète.
Perfect. Before we end, I want to wish everyone a wonderful evening. Take care of your family, your friends, your neighbors. Keep well, keep safe. Faites attention à vous et vos proches. Gardez-vous bien, gardez-vous en santé. Je souhaite à toutes et à tous une belle soirée. Je déclare la séance maintenant levée. I declare that the council session is now adjourned. Madame Valois, please record the time that the meeting has come to an end. Merci beaucoup.